Welcome to the Berea Tourism Commission Wednesday, August 14th, 2024 meeting in council chambers at 304 Chestnut Street, Berea, Kentucky. We'll call the meeting to order now. We'll start with a roll call. Laura?
Here.
Will?
Here.
Spur?
Here. Here.
Alex?
Here.
All right. We're all here. Going to the approval of the agenda. It's in front of you now. Give you a few minutes to review that, and then if somebody'd like to, if there's no amendments anybody wants to make, we'll go on to get the motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Got a motion to approve. We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any opposed? The agenda passes unanimously. Move on to the approval of the minutes of June 12, 2024. Remind you there's no meeting in July, so this is the last meeting. And you can review them for a few minutes, and we'll see if anybody has any amendments they want to make or approval as it is.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes.
Got a motion to approve the minutes as is. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second. Any opposed? That motion to approve the minutes as is passes unanimously. We'll move on to Director's Report. Today is presented by Danny Giff. Danny?
Thank you so much, Commissioners. So Donna left me her report. We'll just go through it. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer what I can. And if there's anything that I can't, I will be happy to take note of that and get answers back to you. So to start out, of course, you know, there was no meeting in July. So she wanted to make sure that we catch you up on all of the tourism-related events and the things that we've had going on for the last 2 months. This has been 2 of our busiest months of the year. Every time we think it's going to slow down, it picks right back up again. So starting off with L&N Day, we had a fantastic turnout for L&N Day. It was a little bit slower this year than it was last year. However, we had multiple events going on throughout the city on the same day. And that's actually something that I personally am very thankful for, because we're seeing so much participation from different parts of the community. So on that day, we also had the Summer Solstice Craft Festival up at Berea College. And so we were sort of sharing with them, and we actually partnered with them to get transportation through Kentucky River Foothills, where people could ride back and forth from event to event. We also had, just last month, the Berea Craft Festival, which I'll get into more of the details about in my report. but we had a great turnout for that. First year in, I think one of the artists told me, 21 years, the first year with no rain. So it was a blessing and a curse, all in the same sentence, pretty much. Following that, we went straight into the Berea Festival of Learn Shops, hosted by Liz, and I'm sure she'll have a lot to talk about with that. Berea was also written about by World Atlas as one of the top 6 friendliest towns to visit in Kentucky, one of the 7 towns in Kentucky with the best downtown areas in 2024, and the top 7 towns in Kentucky to explore local events. So I'm just going to touch on a couple of the citywide collaborated tourism events, starting with one coming up, and that is the Celtic Festival, the annual music event that will be held August 15th through 18th. And that will be held in different spots all over the city, so be sure to check that out. They have lots of incredible music, storytelling. It's a phenomenal cultural event that we have here that is definitely something to be proud of. The Chestnut Street Pavilion Concert Series kicked off in June and will continue through September. The Berea Farmers Market just celebrated their 50-year celebration in July. The Kentucky Guild Fair will be coming in mid-October, and it will be held at the Kentucky Artisan Center. The Berea Chamber of Commerce Annual Spoonbread Festival is mid-September, and the Dinner Bell 50-year celebration will be coming up on August 20th at 3 p.m. for anyone who wants to attend. We have been working with Courage Media. I know this is something that Donna talked a little bit about last time, about getting ads and photo shoots done for every season. That is something that we've been working on with Courage Media, and the last shoot that we did included fishing, paddleboarding, highlighting the pollinator gardens. We did a special at Apollo's Pizza where they actually filmed the pizza being made. And then we went to Walnut Meadow Campgrounds to highlight local campgrounds for the tourists. A couple project updates. New roof construction will take place on the salt shacks starting within the next 2 weeks. They have already started dropping off materials for that, so it could really be any day at this point. New flooring in the old hotel on the left side is coming within the next couple weeks. They've already ripped out the old flooring, so that'll be happening pretty quick. The old hotel outside painting will begin mid-fall, and the Karloftis Gardens was something that we really worked to clean up and plant more flowers this year, and it's looking great. We've had some great compliments on it from people coming into the area. A few future projects for tourism that includes repairs on the back train platform. Updated sign graphics around town will start mid-fall. We will have some fall Learn Shop classes, our Make It, Take It, Give It classes. We will continue to have motor coach buses that will be visiting, a lot of them staying overnight. Berea College will be hosting Janice Ian Archive exhibits. That will be coming in October as well. The Berea College Convocations will also begin in the fall, and those are open to the community for anyone who wants to attend. Spotlight Theater holiday programming will start soon. They're working on planning all of that out. And then we are currently setting dates for our video shoots for our fall and winter layouts. We will also be working with Fox 56. We met with them last week, and this will be part of our ARPA funding that we have until the end of the year to spend to work on some new ads and some new TV spots that will really help to bring us into the holiday season. That is all I have for Donna's report. If you have any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Just got a comment.
Of course.
You was commenting about, having multiple events at the same day and different people, which I generally agree with, but I'm having a few people comment on the pavilion concerts being on the same day as the concerts over the hill, and people want to attend both. So something to think about as we go forward. Do we want to keep doing that, or?
I will tell you, just from the experience, I was the one who booked all of those out, and we set those dates in January before we knew anyone else's dates.
Yeah.
So that's where it does start to get a little tricky, especially some
You
of
don't
these
know
bands.
what they're doing, right?
Yeah, if you want to get them, you have to book them quick.
Mhm.
So it's kind of just the luck of the draw.
Okay. Anything else? All right, I guess, thank you, Danny. Our next report is the Program Manager report by Liz Todd. Or are you going right into? All right, you'll do the next one again? All right. So we're right into the next operations report. Go ahead, Danny.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to see on the operations report is our visitor count for June and July. We have had a little less people than last year. However, we are bringing in more large groups. That is a big thanks to Emily, who is helping to get those motor coaches here and doing just incredible things with them, getting them all over our town to see every single bit. Right now, Robert has recently put together a the glass display case that we have. He's really great about changing that out so people can see something new every time they come in, and right now it is all motor coach themed and group tour themed to help really get the attention. We actually had last week we had a motor coach driver that wasn't there on a tour, or he wasn't there with a tour, he was there with his wife and just enjoying the area. So it just seemed like perfect timing that we had something out there for the motor coach to really show that group tour is something that we offer. Beautification, maintenance, and team projects. We are continuing to maintain the flowers in Old Town and do small maintenance projects around the building. I know I've got several work orders that are currently being worked on just for upkeep issues. We've got a cracked sidewalk that we've had looked at, so things are coming along. The hotel flooring is getting ready to go down. But the really exciting thing about the hotel right now, if you haven't been down there lately, is that the right side is now occupied. It is occupied by Maddox Maid. It is a photographer. She's going to be setting up a portrait studio, but she will also have a retail space that will hold the work of several of our local artists that are not currently represented in Old Town. So that's something that we're really excited about. If you haven't had a chance to drive by and just sort of peek at what she's got going on, she's already got her sign up. The place is going to be absolutely beautiful. So she's working really hard on that. Other than that, we are doing a whole lot of cleaning and reorganizing the Welcome Center. And if you haven't been in the gathering space lately up at the pavilion, we have printed and framed quite a few photos to really dress that area up. I know, Shelley, you've been in there, you've seen it, and they are all things that represent what we do at the pavilion. So the farmers market, the Learn Shop classes, the pavilion concerts, it's got a little bit of everything. So when you walk into that room, you can look around and see exactly what we do with the space. Since we already talked about Ellen Day, I will skip that one. Going back to the Chestnut Street Pavilion concert series, we have seen just under 400 guests at our first 5 shows. We've had great response. People have really enjoyed the bands that we've had. We have 5 more to go. And I do want to talk a little bit about the night that we did the Festival of Learn Shops. So we kind of, Liz and I partnered. We wanted to create something special for the people that were here for the Learn Shops. And so one of her instructors, Candy Rollins, actually came out and did tie-dye with the kids. And it just so happened that was a night that we had a bunch of kids there. So she offered free tie-dye, and we had an ice cream truck. So it was kind of like a mini celebration, just, you know, a break right in the middle of the Festival of Learn Shops to just get out and enjoy being together. That was also the night that we had our most guests. We had over 100. The Berea Craft Festival, we had 106 artists on site. That is the exact same number that we had last year. We actually had 108 booked and 2 canceled at the last minute. So we ended up right even with last year with 8 food and snack locations. Incredible music all around. Something that I saw this year that I had never really seen before that was really cool was to see a lot of our entertainers who had not performed together and some who didn't even know each other got together and had their own jam sessions out there. And it was just kind of this free-flowing, you know, whatever worked for them, you know, and they created this incredible environment that people wanted to be a part of. So in terms of money, the children's tent, I do want to make sure and mention that Kiana and Tava from the Berea Arts Council, they ran the children's tent this year and did an incredible job. We actually have, if you haven't seen it down at the Welcome Center, I need to get some pictures of it. We have this giant gourd that Liz had been saving for. We didn't know exactly what, but we knew we wanted to save it. And so we took it out there and let the kids do handprints on it. The coolest part of it, though, is that there are a couple newborn footprints on it. And that is now sitting in the Welcome Center. Just something that every child that was there could have a part in and have their own, a little piece of themselves and their own art displayed in the Welcome Center. Moving on to the money, we made $34,967 in admission, $1,272 in merch sales. That was our t-shirts and tote bags. $31,200 in vendor booth fees, and $2,400 in food vendor fees, with a total revenue of $69,839. I'm still working on the full expense report because we have several people who have not yet invoiced us for things. So hopefully by next month I'll be able to give you the full report on how we came out in expenses versus income. We did also send out a survey to all of the vendors, which was something that we had not done in the past, because I'm a true believer in, I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. What can we fix? What can we do? The most common complaint that we got was the only thing we could not fix, and that was the heat. That was something we were really up against this year. So when I say in the previous report that the no rain was a blessing and a curse, it really was, because we were prepared for the rain and no one really knew how to act when it didn't come. So it was incredibly, incredibly hot out there, especially up toward the top of the hill. Some of the positive comments we got, though, in the surveys were consistent communication, a smooth load-in process. They loved the artist appreciation dinner, and a lot of them had an increase in sales. Some of our opportunities, the high heat, of course, which not a whole lot we can do about that. The top of the hill booth locations, that was something that we added this year. Specifically because of flooding issues that we've had in the past. We wanted to move people out of the worst flood zone and get them up, onto flat land, because we were fully expecting it to rain. So when it didn't, that flat land became the hottest point. So, so we are looking at moving them back and trying to sort of move around where some of the booths are so we can make it more comfortable for everyone. And now that I've been out there and we've all worked together to mark this space and really see the space, we've seen sort of the opportunities on how to work with that moving forward. So long loadout times was our other one, which I found kind of interesting because we actually finished about 20 minutes faster than last year. But I do think a lot of that is just attributed to the heat. Everybody was ready to get out and go, which is incredibly understandable. I do want to take a moment, though, and really thank our team, these ladies down here and myself. Every single step of the way, we did it together. Everything from getting them all loaded in to running the show to getting them all loaded out. And I'm really proud of them. It's not an easy task, and it's one of those things that even though, exactly half of us have been through this more than once, it doesn't make it any easier, especially when you're starting over, you're learning how to do new things, you're making changes, and anytime we make changes, we're doing it with our artists in mind, what's going to make the experience best for them. And it may not always work that way, but we learn from it and we go on. But this team just stuck together and just did so incredibly through the entire thing that I could not be more happy. It was a great experience all the way around. The last thing I want to mention on that is that we had new spots with WKYT. We did, Becky and I went up and did a studio interview with them. Really super short, sweet. We got in there, talked about it, and got out, and then they came on site during setup. And I do have to mention that one of the artists that they spoke to came and told me on the last day that he had already been sought out multiple times by people who had seen him on the news, and he had already taken multiple bulk orders for wholesale because he had been seen. So if there's ever an opportunity to speak to the relevance and the importance of our paid advertising, especially with our local news stations, that's absolutely it. Any questions? And then I promise I'm done this time.
Any questions by anybody?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, now we'll move on to Liz.
The program manager.
Hi, Liz Todd, Program Manager. Thank you so much for having me today. It's so good to see you all. I feel like it's been forever. I can't believe we just skipped 1 month. So welcome back. And it's almost fall now, I guess. So I'm, of course, going to talk a lot about our Festival of Learn Shops, which was our 12th annual celebration of that event. And that took place July 22nd through 30th. Going to give you some details, break that down a little bit. The numbers are a little bit different than we mentioned in May. So we actually had a few increases from what I mentioned that we might have for scheduling and things like that, locations. So just wanted to share those updates. The first thing I wanted to share is that we ended up with 108 class session offerings over a period of 9 days. We had 30 new class offerings, 6 artist instructors who are new to the Festival of Learn Shops. So they may have, a couple of them may have taught other seasonal sessions, but all 6 were new to the festival itself. So that was very exciting. 14 of our artists were from Madison County. And then something that was really special that Becky helped me with and was so great to embrace and bring alive. This was pocket sized, but I don't know how to print. So if you'll see at the back of your packet, we were able to offer all of our attendees a list of events and activities all around Berea that they could ideally do before, in the middle of, or at the end of the day during these classes. So this was just an opportunity for them to kind of get out from their Airbnb or their hotel and explore the rest of the city as well. So I think we did really well as far as, a diverse assortment of offerings. And if any of your establishments would like to be included on this next time, check your emails that you get, and we would love to add you to this calendar as well. So I do want to do a really just very grateful for Holiday Inn Express Bridges over there. He actually hosted 2 complimentary hot breakfasts for us, for our attendees and our instructors, which is just huge. So we did that Monday and Wednesday. So that was really nice for people coming into town, and also they could go in the morning before their session started and show their name badge or their ticket on their phone and have a complimentary hot breakfast. So that was lovely. So what else? As far as classroom locations, that has increased as well. We were able to have 17 unique classroom locations around Berea. 3 of those were new locations, including Memorial Park, which you would have thought maybe we've used that before, but I personally have not. So Memorial Park was new for us. Berea College's Mac building. We actually had a class in the planetarium, which I'm super jealous I didn't get to go. Maybe next year or next season. Jeff Hutton is actually plotting a build a telescope class. So he's talked all about it to me. It's way over my head, but I'm very excited about it. And then we also had a class in the Loyal Jones Appalachian Center with Heather Dent. So that was very exciting as well. The top sales came out of Lexington and Louisville, which is pretty common for us for most of our classes. And then we hosted guests from 117 different cities. The top 3 by gross sales were Lexington, Louisville, and Dayton. And then we had guests from 22 unique states around the country. The top 3 by gross: Kentucky, South Carolina, which I was a little bit surprised, that's a newer one for us, and then Ohio, which Kentucky and Ohio common, but South Carolina to be number 2 was an interesting trend that I had not seen before. And then the furthest that guests traveled were from California, Washington State, as far as and Texas. I do see an opportunity to attract international travel. It's something we've talked a little bit about in the past, and something that Kentucky itself is very passionate about on a regional level. So I'd love to look into ways to kind of tap into marketing to our international region, or guests that have been to Berea before, and invite them back for the festival. I know we had attendees from 2 different countries outside the United States last year, so I would like to bring those international numbers back up again as well. We had over 20 educators from Tourism's Learn Shops joint venture with our KEDC, who attended these classes and received professional development credit and just had a ball. So happy to see some of those faces again and welcome them back from learning and to share in their classrooms. And top gross sales are pretty much what you would expect. Glass blowing, which was completely sold out, stained glass, and pottery. And then Danny touched a little bit on our country music night with Shane Winkler, but it was just so fun. It had such good energy. We did have that huge crowd there with us, over 100 people. And I joked, I kind of said, how many people are from Mount Vernon? So we have a whole new level of fans for the Chestnut Street Pavilion concert from Mount Vernon, because I think about 90% raised their hand. We're from Mount Vernon because I think Shane that's where he's from. So that was really fun also. And then the tie-dyeing, I saw the kids run. I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be so messy and this is a big thing. But Candy's so passionate, our artist instructor that Danny mentioned, she made it very seamless, very fun. And to see children, run back over to their parents in their lawn chairs and say, oh my gosh, look what I made, is always worth it. So that was a wonderful addition to that event. And thank you for supporting that, Danny, in the way that you did. As always, our part-time staff are absolutely unwavering in their support. So they stepped up in every way imaginable. Liz, do we need to switch the sign? Yes, we do. Just anything you can think of, they're always there ready to kind of walk the perimeter, make sure everything looked good, but also take care of our visitors that came in just to visit us as they traveled through, or to visit Berea for another reason. So I can't thank our part-time staff enough for the support they give us. And then, of course, our full-time leadership team. I know that Danny mentioned how amazingly, we really do work well together. It's, you sometimes, get a group of people together and there can be cattiness or things like that. We just don't have that. It's just very supportive and positive, and I'm grateful for them as we went straight out of Craft Festival, straight into Festival of Learn Shops. I know, everyone's exhausted, and I think we're still hot like 2 weeks later trying to get rehydrated. But to have them step up and go to locations, greet artists, greet instructors, and greet, attendees was a massive help, and I'm grateful to them as well. Things that are coming up. We have September 28th, we're doing a pop-up acrylic painting class. It's actually going to be an outdoor mountain scene, and the class is going to be outdoors. So we're actually going to do it out at Owsley, like the second exit where it's like the flat area. And I was inspired by my dad because he goes out there and does watercolor painting. And Owsley's my favorite place ever. So that's where that inspiration came from. And I think September 28th will be a perfect opportunity to kind of translate into fall and those kind of cooler, the mountains and things like that. Plus, it'll be the weekend after Spoonbread, so everyone's going to be looking for another low-key activity to do. So I think painting will be perfect. October 26th, we're going to do a glass-blowing pumpkin clinic, which we've never done before. Chad out of Louisville is a very talented glass-blowing artist, and he is going to come with 2 of his assistants to offer a glass-blowing pumpkin clinic. This will be an outdoor clinic, and these pumpkins will be blown every 15 minutes. So essentially people will reserve spots, or they can walk right up, and they'll have a finished product to walk away with in 15 minutes. So it's not something we've explored before, but I think the concept is very exciting, and Everyone loves a glass pumpkin, so it should be really fun. And we'll do that all day long. We're also going to do clay classes. We're going to have demos, basket weaving. We have a new artist who does Nordic two-ply basket weaving, which is pretty unique to the area. I don't know anyone else that teaches it. So very excited to work with Sherry. She'll do a great job. And then another new instructor that I'm going to be working with, Julie, she does traditional wool hook rug weaving, and she's going to be offering that class in October as well. And she is currently an EKU instructor and also does some classes for them for continuing education and things they offer. But one of our longtime attendees suggested that she reach out to me, and we got to talking, and I'm super excited because we don't have anything like that, and we really try to embrace any traditional craft that we can. So we're very excited to offer that in October as well. And then we will, of course, do the Mayor's Merry Mingling, which is always one of my all-time favorite free events for the community that we do during the holidays. And Rachel Byers from Berea Community, I talked to Danny the other day, she's already getting her students planning to create those holiday pieces for our children's gallery that was so lovely executed last year. And then we've also talked with Ariana from the new photography studio, and she wants to offer some holiday photos, whether it be with our amazing Santa and Mrs. Claus, something in that capacity for the community on that day as well. And then December 6th through the 8th, which will be a 3-day weekend, will be our annual Make It, Take It, Give It holiday series of classes, where every participant will leave with a tangible item that they can either gift or take home. So we sent a save the date at the end of July, and we've just had a multitude of interest for more information. So those tickets will be live soon, and you'll receive an email when those are up. That is all that I have. I know it's a lot of information as we try to recap 2 very, very busy months into a brief report. But what questions do you have for me? How can I help? What questions?
Do you have a theme yet for the Merry Mingling?
My understanding is that is still in the works.
Okay.
Good question.
On your concert series at the Pavilion, have you all thought about doing food trucks?
Oh, I don't know why I looked at you. So we have, and I know there are some logistics involved.
We have reached out to some food trucks. The hardest thing is that with us doing Saturday nights through most of the summer and early fall are typically taken up by festivals and larger events that they will typically gravitate toward as opposed to a small concert. So that's just from the response that we've gotten so far, but we're happy to continue trying.
Yeah, and I love that idea too of having live music, and then we've talked about food trucks kind of lining the edges.
I was just thinking that would bring, we went, it was wonderful. She did such a good job greeting everybody and, and making sure everybody has chairs and stuff. And I was just watching it and I saw no little children, and I thought that, of course, maybe some people are just enjoying their evening without children, but I was just thinking, I think it could grow more. I think it will as time, especially with your all's abilities. I know it will.
I agree. Thank you. If no one has any other questions, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Liz. Move on to our next report, which is the group tour planner, Emily.
Good afternoon, commissioners. So, like everyone has already said, I'll rewind a couple of months since we didn't get to meet last month. So back in June, earlier Liz had mentioned Bridges from Holiday Inn Express. He reached out to us and requested a meeting so that we could tour the facility to discuss upgrades that they have already done, plus renovations that they're kind of seeking out in the future. Also to talk to Liz about the, breakfast for the Festival of Learn Shops, and then for my purposes to kind of explain everything that they offer to tour bus groups, if, they would like to stay there. So that was very nice to know, as all of that information, anything that we can pass along to other tour groups to give them options. It lets them know that Berea is larger than they may have assumed, so it's always nice to be able to share any and all information regarding lodging options. And in terms of tours, in June, we had 5 buses that were in the Old Town area, and actually may have, went through the Welcome Center. So we had Broadway Baptist Church, and so they did a driving history tour of Berea, otherwise known as a step-on tour. When we get our trolley, we can still do step-on tours, but it might look different. They might want to get off of their bus and hop on the trolley with us, so we can drive them around. But for now, we've been stepping onto their bus to give them the tours. They did some artist demonstrations, which groups always love. They love so much. And they stopped at the Log House Craft Gallery, and they lodged with Boone Tavern. We had Green Township Senior Center, and so they had lunch at Dinner Bell and another step-on tour with more artist demonstrations, and then they also visited the Artisan Center. They were just in town for a day. I do not believe they lodged anywhere. Colette, they are a group that we see commonly, on average, about once a month, once every other month. And they're always such a pleasure to have. And they typically use us as just a stopping point to let people get out, stretch their legs on their way down to the Smoky Mountains. And so they did some artist demonstrations, and they also had lunch. And then we had a large group, Leadership Kentucky, and I guess I fibbed earlier because this group did not come to the Old Town area. They stayed in the College Square area. They stayed with Boone Tavern, and Becky had designed a scavenger hunt for them, and then I helped go and organize and kick it off for them. And so that was a lot of fun. That group really had a lot of positive feedback. They had so much fun doing that scavenger hunt. And so as a tiebreaker for the scavenger hunt, at one point we had them take a video and explain what they saw made Berea different compared to other small towns. And so one of the videos was super sweet. It was like 5 minutes long. They went into depth about what they thought Berea, or what made Berea so different. And their main focus of that video was the people. They loved the people in Berea, which, is phenomenal if you think about it. And they just went on and on about the people, the welcoming attitudes of everyone. And so that's super nice to hear. When you have tourists coming in, you want your locals to not put on a good face, but be a good face, and they are. So that's always nice to hear. We also had the Royal Coach Group. They had lunch at Boone Tavern, another step-on tour, more artist demonstrations, and another visit to the Artisan Center. So clearly June was very popular for the Old Town area and the Artisan Center, and different little lunch spots. But we are venturing out to, as Danny said earlier, more areas in town. The Old Town, that is our beginning of the town, so it's very important. We want to support that area, but it's also important to support other areas as well. So getting them out is important as well. In July, the meetings we had, or I had, I met with our chairman, Mr. Bill West, just to discuss different ways to bring tour bus groups, as I just said, out more away from the Old Town area and maybe into his newer restaurant, the Cafe at the Churchills. And as I stated before, the more a restaurant or lodging can let us know about their accommodations for large groups, the more we can share and the more advertisement it is for the town and for the businesses. So if you know of any businesses that could, reach out to us and let us know about that kind of stuff, that would be great. Some of our storefronts on the inside, they might not be large enough to handle a group of 48 at a time. But if they're willing, to take 20 and, split their time with another store or something, if they have ideas like that, reach out to us so we can, push those to groups as well. For example, Mr. Bill, he had shared that since Churchill is such a historical site, they do offer tours of the facility, which I did not know before, which is awesome, especially being the folk arts and crafts capital of Kentucky. A lot of people like to see those traditional crafts, and so learning the history behind that building would really draw, interest. And as we stated before, the craft festival, I agree with everything everyone had said earlier. I believe it went over as smoothly as it possibly could with 2 newbies to the scene, and so everyone worked together, and all in all, it was a good weekend. It was a hot weekend, as it was stated before, and I would like to give a special thanks to the volunteer fire, Mr. Will and his team. They were super helpful. We did have a few people pass out from the heat, but they were there and ready with their cold compacts and helped out. And so words can't describe how grateful we are to them that they were on scene and able to assist in that way as well. And also, it's not on my report, but I would like to say in terms of festivals as well, the Festival of Learn Shops went over seamlessly. We've gotten so much positive feedback on that. That is all thanks to, Liz and our team. But Liz, she really worked hard to put all that together. And so while I was at different class locations, assisting in the way that I can, and I took some pictures while I was there, all of the instructors that I came into contact with said how pleasant of an experience this has been. And we had some guests that were attending the Festival of Learn Shops, and they said that was their vacation. So instead of going to the beach or, somewhere else, they wanted their whole vacation to be just Learn Shops. So they took multiple classes or, even just took one and then spent a long weekend in town, which is just incredible to hear. Praise to Liz for doing that for us. And we also had a field trip in the month of July that came to the train station. That was tumble shine, gymnastics. They have a summer camp for kids, so they came in. We had a little worksheet for them, so they learned about the different modes of transportation. And obviously we don't grade them on the worksheet, but just a hands-on experience so they can, kind of, after you learn something, when you work on it, it kind of sets it in more. So just, teaching them about the different modes of transportation and having them do a fun little worksheet helped. And then, of course, they went out back and drew with some chalk about the destinations that they bought their ticket to. So that was nice. So in August, I actually just this past week got back from a conference that was held in Branson, Missouri. And the conference was titled Going on Faith, so it was a faith-based travel conference. And that I believe seems very promising to bring in more groups where we are so centrally located right there on I-75. We have a lot of groups passing through, either going up or coming back down from the Ark encounter. So just putting Berea in their head, it seems very promising. I had many travel agencies say either we didn't know Berea even existed. This is lovely. We already have a tour scheduled for the Ark in October or November. It's already planned down to the minute, but gosh, we really wish we would have known about this place. We would have fit you in, but we will fit you into our itineraries of next year. And then, so we got a lot of, positive feedback in that sense. We were able to share with them about, our typical art scene here in Berea, but also Berea College, its background and the town's, Christian background, that draws some interest. And also Berea College has a Bible collection that actually shows how the Bible was translated into English. And they have other Bible collections, and many places have that. However, Berea College actually lets groups go in and with gloves actually flip through those pages of the Bibles, where many Bible collections are just behind glass. So another hands-on experience really drew some interest, and a lot of people said that they would come to Berea for these new things, and so that's nice to hear. And that's really all I have for you guys today. Do we have any questions?
I just want to add, when you were talking about the Bible collection at Berea College,
Mhm.
I've lived in Berea 60 years, and I've got married at the Danforth Chapel, and I did not realize that Mr. Danforth went, when they were building that chapel, and got rocks from all over the world. And there's one from the Garden of Eden, there's one from Germany, I mean, you name it. It's just places where, and some of it is with the biblical scenes that he got rocks. And when you go over there, they've got beautiful flowers and everything, but there's also little signs, and it will tell you that little stone, it may be this big, but it'll tell what chapel it came from all over the world. And I'm embarrassed that I didn't know it. My CPA told me out of Lexington. They come every year just to look at it. So I encourage anybody to look at it.
Yeah, that was actually a talking point that we discussed at the conference too. It's very interesting. You're correct. Yeah, there's a stone from Nazareth, Abraham Lincoln's tomb. I mean, it's crazy. There's multiple stones, and Mr. Danforth put those into the chapel. He picked out the stones from places that really held Berea's mission at its heart. So, when we got our beginnings, it was set up as a checkerboard community of all mixes of genders and races and religions. So, yeah, it's very interesting, and people were very interested to hear about that. So, I'm glad to know that brings, people in to see. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, commissioners. As everyone else has said, it's been a few months since I've seen you all, so I will try to keep this as brief and concise as I can. I know I have a lot on here, so I'm just going to highlight some exciting things and projects that we have completed and some promising projects that are on the horizon as well. So as far as what I have been working on the past few months, of course, we wrapped up the Spring Learn Shops as well as the Festival of Learn Shops too. And with all of these exciting events, of course, there are media projects and advertising that goes along with that. So for the Festival of Learn Shops, we had posters. Liz, do you mind handing me that? I can't remember if I showed you all this last time or not. I know many of you hung it up in your businesses, which I greatly appreciate. We did posters, of course. We did the list of things to do while they were in town. as well as some social media advertising, some print advertising, email blasts. It's been on our website, so all the things to get the word out there on Learn Shops. For our pavilion concert, of course, we've been posting on social media, and there are events under our Facebook page that people can reference at any time. You can also reference our website calendar, but we also printed a poster and did a banner on the fence out there as well. I designed a scavenger hunt for Leadership Kentucky, as Emily mentioned, and she did a great job leading the group, and that led them kind of around College Square. They had a lot of fun with it. We had our second content filming day with Right Place Media and Courage Media, and I have assisted RPM with scripts for 15-second and 30-second commercials. Hopefully I will have those for you all next time we meet, and we can watch them on the big screen. So those will be a similar format to what I showed you guys last time, but we will be focusing on different areas of town to highlight, as I think Danny mentioned earlier. We also, Danny mentioned Everyday Kentucky Live. She and I went on there together to interview about the craft festival, and they also came on site on July 11th, so the day before the craft festival, to interview 2 of our artists out there. I designed a half-page travel host ad, which will be at the back of your packet. I'll take you through the back of your packet in just a second. We can hit on some of the ads that have already kind of gone into production and will be printed or have already been printed. I assisted iHeartMedia with a campaign promoting Learn Shops, which consisted of podcast commercials, digital display ads, email blasts, and videos with the help of Liz, of course, and Danny. Oh, we also updated the group tour page on our website. Emily did a beautiful job gathering the information and designing this page. I plugged it into our website if you want to take a look at that. It is updated, and it was updated just in time for her to go to her conference. That way, when she was networking, she could send people there. I have assisted RPM with a 3rd-page Kentucky Living ad, a 4th-page Hamburg Journal ad, full-page Kentucky Visitors Guide ad, a 4th-page Kentucky Monthly ad, Facebook and Instagram flight, Lex Today, Lou Today, and Indy Today, email header, retargeting display ads, mobile device ID targeting display ads as well. So I know that sounds like a lot, but we have a lot coming up with them too. So those are the ones that have been completed. I will point out that Lex Today, Lou Today, Indy Today, that is a new avenue that we have added into our media plan this year, and their total audience is 261,792, and what that is it is email blasts. So we're partnering with them to highlight different aspects of town, and we have quite a few things coming up with them in the future, such as banner ads, which that's just going to be like at the top of their email blasts that go out, as well as some mini articles too. I don't have it on my report, but also for Travel Host, I'm currently working on, we will be on the cover of Travel Host for their 4th quarter edition. We will also have a full-page ad in their magazine. We will have a half-page story, and then some calendar listings as well. So that's one of my bigger projects that I'm working on right now. And going into other future projects, I'm also assisting RPM with a lot of upcoming advertising that will, as we head into fall and the holiday season, it will be highlighting, of course, the outdoors, because a lot of people travel here, of course, to see the leaves as they're changing. And we will also be encouraging, shopping in Berea for the holiday season as well. Another exciting, you can see my upcoming advertisements with RPM for September and October. That's number 4 on future projects. I already mentioned about Lex Today, Lou Today, Indy Today, but we also will be doing in September a show with WHAS 11 Great Day Live. So that is going to be a 1 full hour show, and it's going to highlight it will highlight 6 to 8 things. They'll be 4 to 6 minute long interviews, so we're very excited for that. We will be filming that in September, and that is also a new thing that we have added into our media plan this year, so we're excited that that's going to be a longer piece of content there. You can see our social media numbers. Any differences you see with May and June compared to July, that's going to be because of our paid advertising. But we still gained followers on Facebook and Instagram. We currently have 16,423 followers on Facebook and 4,395 on Instagram. And for Constant Contact, which is how I send out my email blasts, we have 16,212 subscribers. Last time I met with you all, we had 16,049. I'm hoping to have plenty more soon because Liz and I have added a section on our website that people can sign up to receive an email notification whenever her Make It, Take It, Give It Learn Shops go live. So if you turn to the back of my report, you can see any print advertising that I've already gotten the proofs for, I have included. The first one you see is Travel Host. Oh, well, I'm so sorry, I'll have to show you. We can pass it around if you want. But this is our half-page Travel Host ad here, and I highlighted the Chestnut Street Pavilion Concert Series, the Festival of Learn Shops, and the Berea Craft Festival. So that one was a half-page ad. The idea here is family fun all summer long in Berea. Again, I can pass this around for you all. We also did a full-page ad in Richmond, the Richmond Register's Discover magazine. So we did 5 ways to craft your adventure in Berea, highlighting arts and crafts, lodging, shopping, outdoors, and dining. And I put a QR code on there so that they can scan it and look at our list of restaurants and places to shop and things like that, since that is a more local magazine. The next ad is a 4th page ad in Ace magazine. Again, we highlighted the Pavilion Concert Series, the Berea Craft Festival, and the Festival of Learn Shops there. So we've got Aqua for summertime, and we've got all the dates there with our website listed as well, so that people can reference our calendar and things to do in Berea, of course. This is a 3rd page Kentucky Living ad. This is a vertical ad. This one will be coming out in September. So we start to go more towards the purples as we go into fall. We've got some shopping, Kentucky hot brown, and hiking. Perfect fall day, if you ask me. This is a new magazine that we've added into our media plan this year, a 4th page ad in the Hamburg Journal. So that's Lexington, of course. And we have our e-bikes, some jewelry from Lindsay Gallery, and a piece of trout there from Honeysuckle. And then last but not least, this is a very important ad for us. This is going to be in the 2025 Visitor's Guide. So this will be something that people reference all year long as they are visiting Kentucky. And this is a full-page ad advertising Berea. It is really hitting on our new color scheme that Danny came up with. And Donna and I very carefully picked out what pictures we thought would work well for the 2025 Visitor's Guide, and we tried to play off of those colors. So again, I will pass this around if you all want to look at any of the upcoming ads. Do you guys have any questions for me? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I mean, ultimately, I mean, every month it still goes up, even with having some unfollows, and that's natural. That's going to happen on every page, of course. I think as long as we see the number continuing to increase overall, then that's encouraging.
I got a question. So are you saying that we didn't have any paid advertisement for July? Why these numbers are?
It's just how our I can look up exactly when our social media flight, the dates that it was put out by RPM. But if I'm going off the top of my head, yes, we had a flight end, I want to say at the end of June. So that's why you see that difference there.
Any other questions, Becky? I would just like to make a statement too. The things to do sheets y'all putting around, you know, those are working very effectively. I see people carrying these in their
Oh, good.
vehicle and in
I'm
their,
glad.
and in their person, you know, and it helps you plan out a little bit. And I think it's been a rather than just posting the individual events separately, which is good too, but I think that helps people get some planning going. I think they've been very effective.
Thank you. I think it's helpful for them to have all the events in one place.
Right. Mhm.
So, you know, we have our monthly newsletter that goes out, and people can submit events to me for that on our website. But then I pull from that for our weekly What's Happening in Berea post. But I've seen people print those off too and put them in their businesses or carry them around too. So I think it is helpful for them to have it in one spot.
Any more questions of Becky? Thank you, Becky.
Absolutely.
All right. Any public comments? We don't have much. Oh, go ahead, Mayor. Mayor wants to speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everybody, and I always enjoy hearing the reports with all the work that's going on behind the scenes. So compliments to everybody for all that you do. Mr. Chairman, I wanted to make the commission and also the staff aware of the background and rationale on an ordinance that's now before the City Council. You'll recall in 2020, the Department of Business Development and the Department of Tourism were combined into one combined unit. There were a couple reasons for us doing that, and the first was to establish that tourism development is business development, and the two go hand in hand, and that tourism development is good for businesses of all sizes throughout our city. That's one thing we wanted to accomplish. The other main point was to make sure that economic and development and tourism departments were working together. That wasn't always happening. There were different priorities and they weren't necessarily aligned always. So we wanted to bring those into alignment. 4 years ago, we did that, and I think in the last 4 years we've accomplished both of those objectives and the other objectives that we wanted to have. If you look at the scope of responsibility for business development and also for tourism development, it's tremendous. The scope is very broad and it's very complicated and time consuming. It's a tremendous responsibility. I've often thought, and Donna, as I had this conversation, that I don't know anybody else that could take on both of those roles and do them as well as Donna Angel. We are at the point now where we need to go moving forward for the future. We need to be more focused, have some more focus on and time dedicated to small business development and commercial development throughout the city. Last week at our city council meeting, there was a first reading of an ordinance, and there was also a work session which will divide those two back out for the foreseeable future. We feel like that's in the best interest of the city for tourism, for business development, for the long term. So I wanted to make you aware of the background and rationale on that. We did again have the first reading last week with the work session, and the second reading will be next week. We always have two readings on any ordinance. So I wanted to make you all aware of that and just kind of what the plan was. It really doesn't change anything about the functioning of the Tourism Commission or your roles within that, and it doesn't change anything about the staff that Donna has built and developed and mentored over those 4 years. Again, we feel like that things can continue on and that we can continue to see growth in tourism development as well as business development. So I wanted to make you aware of those, and I would open it up for any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
So, so you're gonna have two, to me it makes sense to have, most cities have two separate. So will there be a whole other staff over the business development?
No,
tourism?
we don't anticipate adding any staff at this point. We do have a couple of vacant slots, as you know, but we'll need to take a look at the entire structure. And one thing I don't want to do, Laura, is get the cart before the horse, because there has to be a vote of the council to do this. So once that vote happens, if it's affirmative, then we'll move forward on it. I don't anticipate any changes in the tourism staff at this time.
Or the workload, I mean,
The business development workload? Well, the business development workload I can see growing. There are several reasons for that. We're having new businesses all the time. Donna gets calls. She's here till late at night trying to respond to calls. I get calls, refer them to Donna. And also, we did have Valerie Henderson that was with the Small Business Development Centers that was located here in Berea. Valerie retired, so we still have the Small Business Development Center, but we don't have that resource here in Berea now. So I think more of that's going to fall to business development. And I'm seeing a need for more emphasis and more direction specifically into the business development end for the foreseeable future. And I think for the long term, that's the way we need to go.
Right. And I just wonder, do we discuss keeping the businesses we have too?
Yeah.
You know, because I've seen a lot of doors shut too.
Yeah, that's part of it too. We want to make sure, and you see that Donna does an excellent job with keeping up on the new businesses, and we always have net gains as far as I can remember. And does that hold out forever? I hope so. But you know, at some point you're going to have your peaks and valleys in your economy. So I think you're going to see that over the time, and we've been kind of riding the uphill where businesses are going up and not very few are closing, but we saw a few close here recently.
Yeah.
Luckily, there've been a couple where someone's come in and bought the business, is going to continue.
Yeah, they
it.
scoot back in.
And that goes to your question about there's a real need to have somebody that has that kind of skill and ability to help transition businesses, people who are in business, want to go do something else, but have someone come in and transition into that business. But also to help small businesses that are here stay in business and to help them grow if that's what they choose to do. And again, I believe that Donna's ideally suited for that. I brought her in to do that in 2019, and she's been doing that plus tourism development for 4 years. And like I said, I don't know anybody that could do both.
I kind of came in right after her, and she has done a fabulous job, Donna, your staff. And I mean, I can't tell you how many people. I was going back on what Emily said about just the city personality here, our hospitality. You know, the people that stay in my homes, they'll write me saying this is probably the nicest town I've ever come to. I also have people that move here to live here from California to Florida, everywhere, and they're just shocked. They're like, Laura, you all are just nice. I thought you were nice, but everybody. I can go into Walmart, gas station, and my elderly couples, they will say, well, they'll come and help me put my groceries in the car. I would be afraid where I came from. And so kudos to Berea. You know what, I do encourage Berea. We've always, living here 60 years, I've heard it say, you know, you open a new business, they come in droves, and then they don't come back. And we need to change that attitude. We need to buy local. We need to support. You know, if we don't buy our furniture and our cars and everything in Berea, we won't have it. That's the famous words of my father a long time ago, and I'm a firm believer in that.
Words of wisdom, well put. And I will add one thing. Again, I mentioned that one of the objectives are bringing tourism development and business development into alignment. And by combining the departments with one head of that had to go that way. So that has been accomplished, but my expectation going forward is that tourism development and business development do go together, and they do have to work hand in hand. And whether you have them as the same department or not, they still have to work together and stay in alignment. So that'll be my expectation. I'm confident that'll happen. I think we've set the precedent for that now. Thank you, Laura.
I have a question.
Sure.
It sounded like you mentioned since Donna was hired back in 2019 for the economic development side, it sounds like she would then get slid over to that. Where does that lead for the tourism director in itself?
Well, first of all, there's a process. So again, like I was telling Laura, you don't want to get the cart before the horse. We want to see the resolution pass, and I would work with Rose and Jennifer Renfro, our HR director, to go through the personnel manual, to go through that process on what you got to do to move forward with the leadership team. Good question.
Any more questions?
Thank you all. Just wanted to make sure you're aware. If anybody'd like a copy of that ordinance, I can get it for you, or Donna can get it for you. But again, if you look at the team that Donna's built, developed, and mentored over the years, we have a good team, have a really good team. So looking forward for more good things to come. You hear it every meeting, all the good things that are happening, and I expect that will continue. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any more public comments? Commissioner comments?
Yeah, I just want to give a good shout out and thank you to Roy Curtis and his team. They've been super receptive on community members as well as commissioners that are communicating to him needs and wants from the community members, such as dirt at the mountain bike park, as well as the Elm Street connector. We've had some handicap accessible issues down there, and they got on it yesterday. So just want to say thanks, as well as thanks to everyone here.
Anything else?
I just want to say thanks to everybody for all the effort with the crafts fair. It was great getting to be. I was out there on Friday. It's great to see the crowds coming in and out, and the volunteers was very glad to be out there and to be of assistance, and everything went well. And it was good to see the lines coming in. It was like every article I seen, like pictures people posting. It was like people was, coming in. So it was really encouraging and sounded like a lot of good things going on in Learn Shops. And appreciate all the hard work y'all put into all that.
Anybody else? Okay, this, I'd like to, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion, got a second?
I'll second.
Got a second? Any opposed? Motion to adjourn passes unanimously. We thank you for attending.